Hello, this is the 234th edition of Catch of the Day, available on the Branch Talk YouTube channel. Today we're going to continue reading from a book written by Doug Mitchell, entitled The Four Carpenters, The Ensign, The Time of Jacob's Trouble, and The First Deliverance. Starting at the top of page 81, we read, "We will look more into this matter a little later. But first, we will continue on the aspect of the Mount of Olives. In Zechariah 14:4 we read, "And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before faces Jerusalem on the east." There must be some specific reason why the Mount of Olives is mentioned as being on the east of Jerusalem. For there is nothing superfluous in the Bible. We have previously discussed how a literal fulfillment of this verse would not accomplish anything other than a geographical change in the land of Israel regarding the removing the hindrances and obstacles that stand in the way of the saints returning to the land. Therefore, the mention of the Mount of Olives being on the east of Jerusalem must have some special significance and meaning relative to the symbolic meaning of the Lord's feet, prophets, standing there and preparing the way for the return of the saints. New Mount Carmel Center, the Mount of Olives. The place where Christ, in his message of the judgment for the living, the branch, did most of its teaching, is east of Old Mount Carmel Center, Jerusalem. The place where Christ, the branch, was rejected by his own. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. John 1:11. Old Mount Carmel was on the west of Waco. New Mount Carmel is on the east of it. While Brother Houghton correctly identified Jerusalem as being the SDA ministry, in general, 1 TG 625, that term also includes the Davidian leadership, as they too are part of the SDA ministry. Indeed, the Davidians expect to be the ministry, 11th hour servants of the one and only remnant movement during the loud cry. Furthermore, God appointed Brother Houghton to the SDA leadership ministry, regardless of the fact that the SDA leaders would not recognize said appointment. Moreover, in 1931, Brother Houghton declared that the SDA ministry was no longer the storehouse, the ministry that was to be supported by the tithe. And sometime thereafter, granted ministerial credentials to those Davidians who qualified for them, further showing that the Davidian association was in the Lord's eyes the Lord's ministry, Jerusalem. That the Davidian leadership under Brother Houghton was also considered to be a part of Jerusalem can also be understood by the fact that in Jesus' day there were two major factions in Jerusalem, the ruling city, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and both of them exercised a degree of leadership in Jerusalem, even though they were at odds with each other. Therefore, the term Jerusalem can apply to the ministry in general, depending on the context, and not just the SDA ministry. Both the SDA and Davidian ministries, Jerusalem, rejected the branch, and thereby crucified Christ afresh. The Lord's feet, prophets, removed the obstacles that would have hindered the new ministry, Jerusalem, from settling on the earth through the work of the branch message and movement, beginning in 1955, as the branch message is built upon the former messages, incorporating all of their truths, then the work of the former messages is at work in the branch message, in a present truth application. As noted previously, it is with the corner, the nail, the battle bow, and every oppressor, the founder, the organizer, the truth or instrument by which to gain the victory over the enemy, and every ruler that come out of Judah, that the Lord builds the house of Judah. 1 TG 17:8. It is easy to see that Sister White was the founder, corner, and that Brother Hotef was the organizer, nail. After they both worked to cast out the abomination, Sunday keeping through Sister White, and the pagan priesthood and feast, Easter, Christmas, etc. through Brother Hotef, Brother Roden was able to restore the truth, the battle bow, of the feasts, and the daily, etc. And Sister Roden was able to bring that concerning every oppressor, ruler, male and female, earthly and heavenly, including the tribe of Dan, which is not named among the 144,000. At the time God called Brother and Sister Roden, there were many obstacles and hindrances in the doctrines and in the lives of those in the Advent and Davidian movements that needed to be removed before they could be sealed by the pure truth. So the Lord, through the branch message, cleansed the camp of those who were not humbly watching and looking for the Lord in his coming suddenly to his temple, in his word, and cleansed the hearts of those who received the message. Note that in the parable of the harvest, once the sickle is put to the field, the tares are first to be gathered and bound in bundles to be burned later, after the wheat is put into the barn. Matthew 13:30, track 365. Now that we understand what is meant by the Lord's feet removing the obstacles and hindrances and creating a great valley, we now need to understand what is the symbolical meaning of the saying, "Ye shall flee, like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah." Zechariah 14:5. While there isn't any specific record of the earthquake in the days of Uzziah in the Bible, there are certain events from which things about it may be inferred. That is, it is written, "And he, Uzziah, sought God in the days of Zechariah, who had understanding in the visions of God. And as long as he sought the Lord, God made him to prosper. And he went forth and warred against the Philistines, and brake down the wall of Gath, and the wall of Jebna, and the wall of Ashdod, and built cities about Ashdod, and among the Philistines. And God helped him against the Philistines, and against the Arabians that dwelt in Grubal, and the Mehunims. And the Amorites gave gifts to Uzziah, and his name spread abroad even to the entering in of Egypt, for he strengthened himself exceedingly. 2 Chronicles 26, 5-8. Uzziah was also known as Azariah. He was 16 years old when he became king of Judah. 2 Chronicles 26:1. Azariah's name means Yahweh has helped. Uzziah means my strength is Yahweh. How did the young king of Judah become strong and so well known and honored so suddenly? How did God help Uzziah? Did he break down the walls of Gath, Jebna, and Ashdod by an earthquake? What was it that caused the Amorites to give him gifts, and that made his name famous down to the end